What's good, family? Y'all know what it is. This is another episode of HBCU Fanatics. Man, y'all better be excited, man. Week 0 is down. Week 1 is upon us. Matter of fact, there's games going on right now. Again, this is a pre-recorded show. We will have go live Friday morning around 11:30, Coach, 11 o'clock around that time frame.
Yeah, 11:30 will be a perfect time. What's good with the family? Hopefully, everyone is doing well as we speak, and hopefully, y'all enjoy this latest edition of HBCU Fanatics. The Fanatics are now in the building. Get dig.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Y'all know what it is, man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. Shout out to all my content creators who always support me and, uh, just give me information behind closed doors to make the show better. So I appreciate, got love for all y'all brothers and sisters. Thank y'all. All right. So, Coach, you know what it is. We're going to go into it. Week 0, Southern versus North Carolina Central. The Week 0, MEAC versus SWAC, or as Coach would say it, SWAC versus MEAC Challenge. Unfortunately, those Jaguars fell flat on their face. Coach, what happened?
Well, first to give you a little backstory. At one point, it was called a SWAC MEAC challenge. Not even put the MEAC in the front, but the SWAC will always be in the front. I think the issue with Southern is, you got a variety of different issues. First of all, Southern defense has carried them the last few seasons. However, defensively, Southern couldn't stop a nosebleed. Of course, you got North Carolina Central returning 9 starters on offense, and then not only that, but their offensive line they were very good. But I think the
Yeah.
issue is when it comes to Southern defensive line, you had Kelby Givens and 3 substitute defensive linemen. And unfortunate for him, he was extremely frustrated. He looked gassed at a lot of points during the course of the game. But truthfully speaking, in terms of time of possession was greatly in favor of North Carolina Central because they got the ball first. Southern deferred to the second half when they won the opening toss. North Carolina Central went on like a 13, 14 play drive and they scored.
Mm-hmm.
Then Southern got the ball, and Cameron McCoy ran a 69-yard
Which
touchdown.
was a beautiful option choice,
Yeah,
man. Him keeping that ball, man. That was
yeah.
beautiful.
So they scored quick. Then North Carolina Central got the ball. They went on like another 13, 14 play drive, and they fumbled the ball on the 1-yard line. Now, even though they didn't score, by this point in the game, early in the game, like Southern defense is living on the field. They couldn't stop the run. They had no pass rush. In the secondary, even though, listening to, a couple players that played, shout out to Adrian Crook.
Mm-hmm.
They did make adjustments like they were playing. I think at one point they were playing like, you know, man, man, man Bill. And then after a certain point, I think they finally made adjustments and they went to like some kind of cover 3. But the issue was, no matter what defense they ran, like they was playing off, and it was just pitch and catch for, for North Carolina Central
And
receivers.
it would, you know what? I didn't know that it was. I didn't know. And Adrian Crook corrected me. Last show. Um, I thought they was in man the whole game, but they, like you said, they did make the adjustments. But what threw me off is, like you said, they were playing off.
Well, and see the thing about it is, even when you play cover 3, when teams are spread nowadays, it looks like man because the reason being is because you responsible for that third. The free safety got the middle third, and those 2 cornerbacks that's backpedaling, they're responsible for the third of the field. But the problem is, unless you got somebody like underneath that can make plays, like he just got to turn around and just catch the ball. You just run 10 yards and just turn around and catch the ball. So, and then not only that, but you had no pass rush. If you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna play cover 3, Like you got to get real pressure. Like at one point, like North Carolina Central was on the goal line, and he dropped back the pass, and there was no like literally there was no pass rush whatsoever, none. And he just sitting in the pocket, sitting in the pocket, sitting in the pocket, throw the ball to the tight end, the Morgan guy, and he stood on the ball, just the Captain Morgan pose because his last name
Yes,
was
yes,
Morgan.
you're right.
And I'm like, bro, like in that situation, you have like literally no pass rush. So that's the thing about it, whether you're playing man or zone, like you got to be able to put pressure on the quarterback. So they couldn't, of course, you got one of your defensive tackles is an offensive lineman converted defensive tackle, and he just was trash. You know what I'm saying? He was getting dog walked the whole game. So I think the issue is, even though you kind of made some minor adjustments in terms of scheme, you didn't make adjustments in terms of personnel. From what I'm understanding, different people telling me, they said LSU redshirt freshman transfer to Marion Johnson. It was like he didn't make an appearance. I think they had another defensive lineman. I don't know. I think he transferred from Oregon, if I'm not mistaken. He didn't make an appearance in the game either. So some of the players that you wanted to make appearances didn't. And then in addition to that, Traylon, with the boy Traylon James, the
Mm-hmm.
defensive back who transferred from Prairie, he was just barbecue chicken
Barbecue
the,
chicken.
the whole time. So they didn't put Ed Reed Jr. in and replace him. So I'm not gonna lie, even if he would have done as well, I think I'd have felt better if you'd have, rotated some of these other players in the game. At least I felt like you'd have got a different look. But even with that being said, I'm not so much disappointed in Southern in terms of defensively. My biggest issue was, again, Mark Frederick and his play calling. It is so terrible in terms of Southern's offense. And then on top of that, Southern, the first drive, Southern he scored a 69-yard touchdown. Then the next drive, Southern didn't do much. Then North Carolina Central go up 3. Then Trey Holly breaks the tackle, and he going a long run because there was nobody on that next level.
And I ain't gonna lie, that even though y'all had a rough going first game, week 0, which those who didn't watch, the score was 31-14, North Carolina Central Eagles. But the positive, on a positive note, Trey Holly look good, bro.
Yeah,
He's
and
gonna
of
he gonna
course,
he's
of
gonna
course,
tear things up
of course,
in the
people
sweat.
people are talking crazy in terms of, man, you got a player walking along the sideline with a Chucky doll in his hand. I'm like, look, bro, if he gonna rip off a long run every game like that, hell, I'll buy him a Chucky doll personally. So, man, I don't want to hear
Right.
that nonsense. So my issue is, after that score, you know, instead of you kicking the ball off deep, you kick a pooch kick and you give North Carolina Central a short field. I think in like a few plays, they score. It didn't take them long. And then instead of bringing Trey Holly back in the game, because I know one of the things people have been saying behind the scenes is that he's not in game shape. But if he's not game shape, hell, I would like to see what he really does look like. He definitely will truly be your feature back at that point. But they probably still gonna play back by committee. So what you do is you take Trey Holly out the game and you bring Mike Franklin back in, your big physical power back. And my issue with that is like, hey, this is the time in the game where you got less than 2 minutes in the first half. You should be in some type of like hurry, 2 minute, go fast tempo type offense in terms of trying to score to end the half. But since you got Cameron McCoy in the game, there was no real sense of urgency since he's not that kind of passing threat. But even if he's not that kind of passing threat, if you can't bring Trey Holly back in the game, bring Barry Remo in the game, bring Princeton Cahey in the game, bring Jason Gabriel, bring one of these smallish speed type Trey Holly type backs. They might not be as talented as Trey Holly, but they have the same skill set and similar size and stature. You want a speedy back like that in the game as opposed to having a big physical bruiser, and they just kind of the clock management and the game management and the decision making at the end of the first half, it was just extremely poor. So once you push kick it and they go down and score, when it's time to in the first half, like you in on a poor note in terms of poor clock management, and then you transition into the second half. Really, minus the two big plays offensively, like you really didn't do a whole lot. And then after that point, like your offense kind of grinds to a halt because you have, of course, some of these Jackson State fans, they saying, hey, Southern receivers are trash. No, like those first two long passes Cameron McCoy threw to Darren Morris, he slightly overthrew both of those passes. Now, the third one, it hit him in the hands. Darren Morris should have caught that. However, I think at that point we really established that the two of them really didn't have any chemistry because you missed the first two long passes. And the issue with Cameron McCoy as a passer is everything is either extremely short, like right at the line of scrimmage, or it's extremely deep. It's no real intermediate passes. And of course, Adrian Crook kept pointing out how he was making the wrong reads. You had Dupree Fuller wide open on a couple of occasions. So I think that's a real issue in terms of your passing game. And it's obvious at this point that Jalen Woods is clearly your starting quarterback. And then, of course, Kenny Lee Pham, the punter that transferred from Alcorn State, he struggled all last season. He struggled again. He had a 7-yard shank where he punted the ball only like 7 to 10 yards. After that point, like the game was over. So Southern struggled drastically in the special teams game. They struggled mightily defensively. And then offensively, you showed that you have a great deal of talent, but you need the right trigger man. And, him being suspended for the first 3.5 quarters, Jalen Woods, like that's another like area of concern from the standpoint of, people was talking about, some people come into Coach Gray's defense saying that he shouldn't have missed the team bus, the charter bus to Atlanta. He's from Atlanta. He had to catch a flight to Atlanta. But the issue with that is, I'm like, look, if you're going to punish him, cool. Then don't let him play at all. Don't put him in a game when the game is practically over. So I kind of feel like you playing with me at that point. Like, just keep Cameron McCoy in the game, So, you didn't have the right quarterback. You had 2 long plays offensively, and minus that, you really didn't do a whole lot. So, realistically, you look bad in all 3 phases of the game. But more than anything, I think the thing that kind of really stood out to me as a Southern University fan, a diehard member of Jaguar Nation that graduated from Southern, that have been going to Southern football games all my life. I think the biggest issue is, Mark Frederick is an offensive coordinator. He still leaves a lot to be desired. His playbook is very basic, very plain, very vanilla. They added jet sweep, but really outside of that, there's no real motion. There's no shifting. There's no movement. In addition to that, like, you don't have a whole lot of variety from the standpoint of, there's no screens to the wide receivers and running backs, even tight end. There's no shovel passes, no draws, no screens. Like, the playbook is very basic, very vanilla, very predictable. Like, if you're opposing defense, he don't give you a whole lot to think about without Jalen Woods being in the game. So I think the offense being successful is extremely contingent upon Jalen Woods starting, because at least with him in the game, you have a real intermediate passing game that you really could take advantage of. Without him, Cameron McCoy all his passes are very short, very deep. And even with him, like, he's a running quarterback. Why not give him, a couple option plays to kind of exploit that? But at the end of the day, like, the playbook is just basic, it's plain, it's vanilla, it's boring, it's trash. I mean, if I was the offensive coordinator, there would be so many components that I would add to the offense. And not only that, if, Trey Holly, even though he might not be in game shape at this point, like, he gave you a lot of long run. I mean, he gave you a long run. He give you a home run threat every time he's in the game. Even if you're using him as a decoy, I mean, I think in this game against Valley Saturday, he definitely needs to get a lot more touches, in my opinion, because he's the game breaker.
I agree. I agree, man. I definitely agree, man. And but we gonna see where I'm interested to see how Southern goes from here or from there. Them dropping
Well,
game 0 and then going into
well,
game 1.
what the issue is this coming Saturday. It's going to be on HBCU Go. This is a real trap game against Valley. Like, you can't afford to look past Valley, to look to Alabama State, to look to Jackson State, Fresno State. You got to go to Valley, and you got to send a message to other teams in the SWAC, and you got to, like Black Fight saying would call, you got to put down the demo. Like, you really got to make an example out of Valley, because I'm going to be truthful. I think Valley going to be a much improved team this season.
I do too.
I still think they're going to be a bottom dweller in the SWAC East, but even with that being said, I think any team that underestimates Valley, they're going to meet the fate of at least one team in the last few years where that'll be the game you slip on a banana peel and fall. So I don't think teams can underestimate Valley. Valley gonna upset a couple teams, in my opinion, this year. A few teams, and hopefully Southern is not one of them. But I think Southern gonna beat them. But I think beating Valley is not a flex. I think the issue is based on the poor coaching performance Coach Terrence Graves and Coach Mark Frederick and the entire coaching staff had. Like, you really got to flex on Valley Saturday. Like, you got to beat the brakes off them. And I think that's the issue. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to win, but I don't think they're going to have the kind of performance that I'm going to be content with, especially after last Saturday. So at the end of the day, some people telling me I'm pushing the panic button. Like, it's too early. Like, they still have time to turn the season around. It was only week 0. I understand that, but the problem is you
don't have faith in the coach.
No, I don't have no faith in the coach. I don't have no faith in the coaching staff, because realistically, in all actuality, this entire coaching staff is the Coach Dooley coaching staff. Like, practically, for the exception of Fred McNair and maybe one or two other coaches, this is the entire same coaching staff that Eric Dooley had, and it has the stench of him on them. And not only that, but not only does it have his stench, but like the poor performance, like in these big games where Terrence Graves is the head coach, Southern doesn't show up. You know what I'm saying? You got smacked twice last year by JSU. You lost to FAMU. Of course, you did well and you beat Alcorn State for homecoming. But in the big games, you don't show up. And not only that, but big games like this past Saturday, your coaching staff get exposed. Your little buddy Mark Frederick, he shows that he's a trash offensive coordinator. Your special teams coach is terrible. Your punter is terrible. The defense carried you the last few years. They were suspect Saturday. So they got a lot of issues to fix. They got enough time to fix it, but truthfully speaking, I don't have confidence that they're going to beat Alabama State and Jackson State, and they're definitely not going to beat Fresno State. Can you beat FAMU? Can you beat Alcorn State? Can you beat Prairie View for homecoming? Like, these are games that Southern needs to win to give the fan base confidence. And I have the utmost confidence in Jalen Woods at quarterback, but I don't have the utmost confidence in Mark Frederick as the offensive coordinator and Terrence Graves as the head coach. And that's just my honest assessment. So it's not me sounding the panic alarm. It's just the fact that based on what I saw over the last season, in these bigger games, they're not showing up.
I hear you, man. Okay. All right, and moving on, man. We gonna go into week 1, man. So matter of fact, you see the game schedule right now. I have the picture right there. It's kind of small, but I can tell you what it says. So it has today it has Atlanta, excuse me, Alcorn State playing the Northwestern Demons, and last time I checked, Northwestern was winning. Let me see what the score is. It's a game delay. So Northwestern State is up 13-0. And last time I checked, in the Alabama State game, they were beating the UAB Blazers 7-0. Let me see what it's for. They still up 14-10.
All right. I hope they win.
Yeah, I do too. and then you have the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats playing FIU. And I think they already started yet. Let me see. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Yo, they play tomorrow. Excuse me. They play tomorrow. So the HBCU games that are currently going on is Norfolk State playing Towson. Towson is up 13-0. And Delaware State is down 21-10. Delaware just scored against Deshaun Jackson's Delaware State 21-10. Even though they are down, Delaware State look very scrappy. The secondary, I ain't gonna lie, looks needs to be improved. Oh, and Delaware State running back just broke off a huge run, so they moving down the field. So Delaware State is still in it. Looks like they moving the ball, and it looks like from because before we went live, Coach, I've been watching Norfolk State. Norfolk State has been snake bitten by penalties, a lot of self-inflicted mistakes, man. Like before they went into halftime, they had a touchdown pass and was called back.
All right.
Because of holding, which I didn't think it was holding, to be honest with you, on the cool. It was a double team, and the defensive tackle fell on the ground. And
all right.
So, yeah, man, those are the games that are playing right now, man. And tomorrow, we got Hampton
at Jackson State.
We got FAMU versus Howard. We got Alabama A&M versus the Razorbacks.
Ooh,
Arkansas,
Lord.
unfortunately. Yeah, they're going to get dog walk. Hopefully they have a good showing. A lot of them boys make it home safely. Or just injured. And then, not saying they can't, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You don't get hurt in a money game.
Yeah, I'm not saying the boys pansies, but you know that's a lot of talent over there.
Yeah.
A lot of talent over there as far as depth chart, big boys. And then again, the game that you're gonna have your eye on, Coach, like you said, it's gonna be on HBCU Go, is the Southern Jaguars are at Itabena.
The Delta Devils
Against the Delta
Mississippi
Devils.
Valley.
Yes, sir. And then UAPB is playing
walking.
Texas Tech.
Oh, Lord.
And then Prairie A&M is playing Texas Southern. And then people been talking shit about Tremaine Jackson, man, going in on Tremaine Jackson, man. So it's been funny.
ABC called him Tremaine Jackson.
We gonna see all the hype, man, because you know there's been a lot of hype going in against, you know, with Tremaine Jackson. Him is a well-spoken coach, very hype coach, man. Very good coach coming from D2.
Yeah, we definitely gonna talk about that a little bit later, you know.
Yes, sir. And we got Lincoln playing Grambling.
Yeah, in fact, let me give a real quick, you know, who I'm picking to win. I'm not gonna lie, I want Alcorn State to come back and beat Northwestern State, but more than likely Northwestern State probably gonna win. Hopefully Alcorn State could come back and pull the dub, get the dub. In terms of Alabama State, you know, I hope they can hold on and get the dub, but I think UAB gonna win. Nope, a lot of these SWAC teams wasn't beating Willie Simmons when he was in the SWAC. Bethune definitely not beating Willie Simmons now that he at FIU. So FIU gonna win that game. You know what I'm saying? Since Jackson State fans been talking out the side of their neck, pun intended. I'm going with Hampton pulling the upset.
Okay.
You know, FAMU fans, you know, they talking a little trash too. So I think Howard gonna pull the upset. Alabama and them, I'm gonna just keep it a brick. They getting dog walk.
Coach, you a SWAC man. Why you be? That's a lot of MEAC
Man,
picks.
like, bro. Yeah, I mean, I'm not picking them across the board. I'm picking them up. I'm picking them up against certain teams. You know what I'm saying? I
Hmm.
mean, I'm sticking with the swag, but some of my swag brethren, they talking too much trash. So I'm just kind of I'm kind of poking the bear a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
I
But
hear
even
you.
with
I
that
hear you.
being said, I hate to say it, Alabama and them getting dog walked. The
Yeah.
Jaguars, they're gonna get a unimpressive win against Mississippi Valley. Uh, I hate to say it, UAPB getting dog walked. I think
Yeah.
I think Tremaine Jackson. I think he thus far early in the season. Season ain't started yet, really, but I think he done let his mouth overload his rectum. I think Texas Southern is gonna win, and I think
Really?
Grambling. Yeah, I think. Cause I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think people kind of sleeping on Chris Dishman. I think that team is improving. I'm not saying they're gonna win the Swag West. I'm definitely ain't saying that. But I think that team gonna be much improved. Whereas you got people already saying Tremaine Jackson the best coach in the Swag. How? He has not coached one game in the Swag yet. How is he the best coach in the Swag? Or even if you say he the best coach in the Swag West, how you the best coach in the Swag West? He ain't coached a game in the Swag West yet. So like, knock it off, bro. Like for people to say, like, I'm not gonna lie, for the people to say he the best coach in the SWAC, or even him being the best coach in the SWAC West, man, hey, bro, I think that is blasphemous at this point. I mean, I'm just gonna keep it a buck. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Like, he gotta earn them stripes. Y'all just giving it to him. Like, nah, bro. Let the dude put in some work and earn something. You know what I'm saying? So I think Texas Southern gonna pull upset in that game, and I think Grambling gonna start off the season on a good note, and I think Grambling gonna get the win. So those are my
Okay.
picks. Those are my picks for week one. I think some people gonna look at some of these picks as being interesting picks. Like the brother C Wells said, shout out to C Wells, swag talk. You know, I like to poke the bear a little bit at times and stir the pot a little bit at times. Some of some of our swag brethren, seem like they kind of rejoice a little bit too much at Southern losing the North Carolina Central. So I'm kind of doing the same thing. I'm kind of they jab Jaguar Nation and we jabbing them back. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right, man. And well, let me give you my picks real quick. I got hopefully the teams that are playing today, I hope they win.
Yeah,
Um,
both of them are both Alcorn State and Alabama State. Hopefully, both of them could hold on. Now
yeah,
I want both of them to lose when they play against Southern, but when you outside the SWAC, we want y'all to handle y'all business,
I ain't
especially
gonna be
against.
on with you. I knew I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I want to say it since I already got it in my mind. I knew Norfolk State and Delaware State was gonna have a hard time. I'm not expecting them to, um, you know, be undefeated or anything. Towson is one of the better teams in the FCS. They're always making the playoffs. Um, you always see them in the playoffs in the FCS division, almost. So there's one of the top tier programs of the FCS. Um, not better than North Dakota State, but they up there. Um, so I knew it's gonna, it's a DMV game, mean DC, Maryland, Virginia. So it's somewhat kind of a rivalry.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And,
so
I don't mean to cut you off, but the SWAC has this stigma when they play PWI Power Fives, even when they play against LCS schools or they play against PWIs in general. It's like they struggle. Southern, they synonymous. You had one year where Southern went, Southern won the Black National Championship. They should have won it outright, but they had to split the championship because Nicholls State didn't win a game outside of Southern. Southern went undefeated, and Southern, the one game they lost was to Nicholls State. Nicholls State, that was the one game they won the whole season. So it's like, come on, bro, you can't make this stuff up. Nicholls State, the only game they got up for was against Southern. It's kind of ironic because to me, it seemed like LSU and Southern was the only two games they really got up for last year, and they had a, people thought Nicholls State was going to be a lot better last year, and they underachieved. And even at first, when Southern first started playing Northwestern State, like Southern was punishing Northwestern State, By the time I started going to Southern myself, man, Western State was beating Southern, man. So at the end of the day, of course, one of them games, it was a little bit of quarterback controversy. Jaguar Nation, we wanted Terrence Levy to be the starting quarterback. They ended up starting Troy Williams way longer than they should have. And I think if Terrence Levy would have started, I think Southern would have won that game. But, that's like way back in 99. But the issue is, I'm tired of this stigma of, certain SWAC schools when they play against FCS schools, when they play against the teams like Nicholls State and Northwestern State and Southeastern and McNeese State, even playing against other schools, it's like they lose to them schools. The SWAC coaches need to step their game up when they play outside of the HBCU world. Man, I'm tired of us getting our ass when we play against teams that we should smack, like even Southern. You lead 85% of the damn game against McNeese State last year, and you let McNeese State come
Oh, that
back.
game pissed me off, man.
Oh no, I'm not gonna lie. It pissed me off to the fullest.
That
And
game
of
pissed me
course,
off.
Southern at home getting the doors blown off them against Nicholls State. Stuff like that pissed me off. It ain't just Southern, like it's the SWAC in general. At least you got teams like like Grambling at times they done held it down. But the point I'm trying to make is the SWAC need to do better in these games when they're playing against other FCS teams. I mean, I'm not gonna even lie to you, bro. Like I remember at one point, like you got a team like McNeese, they hadn't lost to a SWAC team anytime they played, and I'm like, bro, like why the SWAC can't beat teams like this, bro? Or even I love P. Richardson. The thing, of course, the thing I used to hate the most when we would give him pushback. He called Jaguar Nation the street committee. I couldn't stand listening to Coach Richardson. He'd be on WAFB or WBRZ. Those are two local news channels in Baton Rouge, Channel 2 and Channel 9. And he get to talk with the damn street committee. I'm like, man, Coach Richardson, knock that off, bro. You getting paid a lot of money. We know football. Like, you got to expect the pushback, you know what I'm saying? But even with that being said, when he would step outside of the SWAC, like I said, at the beginning, they was whooping up on Northwestern. At the end, Northwestern whooping up on Southern. Even when you played against Tulane back-to-back years, and the first two Big Easy Classic games. One year Patrick Ramsey was the starting quarterback. The other year J.P. Lawson was the starting quarterback. Both of them ended up being NFL quarterbacks. But the thing about it is, early in the game we're doing good. They make their adjustments and they just run away with the game. And Coach Richardson really don't make no adjustments till they counter adjustments. And it's like, bro, you was up 7-6. Then after that, you end up losing what 40 something to whatever it was. Like you ended up getting your doors blown off back-to-back years, and you discontinue that series quickly. So it's like I think the SWAC need to step up when they play in these FCS games. You know what I'm saying?
I
I mean,
agree.
of course, if it was up to me, Senior was, me rest in peace. He was always a proponent of playing a strictly HBCU schedule, not playing any PWI schools, whether they FBS or FCS. But if you gonna play them, you gotta beat them, bro. And I think the SWAC need to step up to the plate big time.
I agree with you, man. Okay, Delaware State got an interception. Okay.
All right. Come on, let's get it, Delaware State.
They down 21-10, but they offense is potent.
Oh, come on, man.
They offense is
Come on,
very
man.
potent.
We gotta get it out the mud.
They got to, man. But yeah, I'm cheering for both Coach Deshaun Jackson and Michael Vick.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, man. Like I said, games are going on right now, and I'm watching them while I'm talking to y'all. But Coach, let's go into the Tremaine Jackson situation. There's been a lot of back and forth going on. You've been telling me, man, been showing me some of the memes, and so what's going on with that? For those who don't know,
Well, the issue with the Tremaine Jackson situation is the fact that Tremaine Jackson, this entire offseason, he has been talking.
Coach, go ahead and cook. I'll have to do something real fast. Go ahead.
All right, take care of your business, bro. Well, the issue with Coach Tremaine Jackson is that Tremaine Jackson has been talking cash money stuff this entire offseason. Tremaine Jackson saying, hey, PV coming and PV this and PV that. And I'm gonna be honest with you, as a coach myself, I'm not an active coach because I've been in my current position. I've been moved up to an administrative role, so I am no longer uh, uh, an active coach. However, the inner coach in me was liking like the trash talking. Now I didn't like the fact that people were saying that now all of a sudden majestically he ain't coached a single swag game. He the best head coach in the swag, or he is the best coach in the swag west. Like I rebuke that. The devil is a lie. You know what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, I thought that was blasphemous. But now you're getting ready to play against Texas Southern and Chris Dishman and Texas Southern, they talking some good cash money stuff. Now all of a sudden, hey, you feel disrespected. It's like, come on, man. Like it make you look fugazi. It make you look soft as cottonelle. It make you look like you can dish it, but you can't take it. Pun intended, in reference to Chris Dishman. So the point I'm trying to make is, look, bro, you can't talk all this cash money stuff the whole and entire off season, and then once somebody talk just a little bit of trash back to you, now all of a sudden you highly offended. You know what I'm saying? That's like you being in a relationship with your old lady. You know what I'm saying? She like, hey, who? Like you done put on a couple pounds, like you done got fat, you done gained a little weight. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, a couple days later, she like, who? How looking these jeans? Yeah, you look fat as hell, like you need to get in the gym. And then she get offended when you tell her what you tell her. And I'm like, look, hey, bro, like you was talking trash a few days ago, so like, why are you conditioned but you can't take it? You know what I'm saying? So that's my issue. Like, if you're gonna be with the smoke, you got to be with the smoke across the board. If you can't take the heat, get the hell out the kitchen. You know what I'm saying? So that's my issue with this. This has kind of been. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. I think based on this good cash money trash talk, like this is the highlight game of this weekend in the SWAC. Is the most talked about game. Like it's the talk of the SWAC. I mean, just think about it. Scotty talking about it. Uh, G talking about it on Swag and the Fool. She loves D talking, but man, everybody talking about it. Like this is the hot button issue in these HBCU and Swag streets, you dig? So at the end of the day, I'm not gonna lie, Tremaine Jackson like a straight sucker, in my personal opinion. I love, bro. If you're gonna be the dish it, you gotta be the take it. You know what I'm saying? But like, if you don't want people talking trash to you, then hey, you can't talk trash like that. You know what I'm saying? So if you're gonna be with the smoke, be with the smoke. You know what I'm saying? Talking about when I was in elementary school, I didn't go to recess because I don't play. Man, get the hell out of here with that lame ass line. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even go to recess because I don't play no games. Man, get the hell out of here, man. Hey, look like you. That's all you doing is playing games. You look like a suck out chair, you dig? So at the end of the day, bro,
Right.
you can be with it. If you're gonna be with the smoke, be with the smoke. Like, hey, if you don't want nobody to talk trash to you, then shut the hell up. Then. You can't have it both ways. You know what I'm saying? You can't straddle a fence. Hey, either I'm gonna talk trash and you talk trash back to me, and we just gonna talk it like we talk it, or I'm gonna shut the hell up and I'm gonna be as quiet as a church mouse. But you can't have it both ways. You know what I'm saying? What's your thoughts on the situation, bro?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I just sat down, man. I had to take this phone call. But I caught the end of what you're saying. So basically, Tremaine Jackson was doing like somebody was talking mess to him and he didn't
No,
take it well.
well, actually, he just been talking mess this entire like off season, like
Uh-huh.
leading up to the start of the season, and then of course you got people, and it ain't just PV fans, it's just swag fans in general talking about how he all of a sudden majestically he the best coach in the swag, and I'm like, how he hasn't coached a singular game in the swag, but leading up to this big game with Texas Southern, Chris Dishman talking trash. Texas Southern players, Texas Southern fan base, they talking trash. Now all of a sudden, he feels quote unquote disrespected, like it's disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? Talking about he didn't even go to recess in elementary school because he don't play no games. You know what I'm saying? This, that, and the third. Now all of a sudden they've been having memes come out of like him being in elementary school. What elementary school he was in, and this, that, and the third, and woo the woo. It's kind of like been like a lot of playful, jovial trash talking. But like I said, it looks like he can dish it, but he can't take it. Pun intended. And it's like you could talk all this good cash money trash talk, like you talking cash money shit, but when somebody get to talking but you a little bit, talking back to you, giving it to you like you've been dishing it out. Now all of a sudden you offended, you feel disrespected, you feel it crossed the line. It's like, come on, man, that's some whole stuff. You know what I'm saying? If you and I get to playing the dozens, and then I talk and I say something greasy, and then you say something greasy to me back, and I'm like, hold up, you hit below the belt, you crossing the line, like I look like a whole whore out here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's my issue with the situation. It make him look soft as cottonelle. You know what I'm saying? So, like I say, if you can't handle that, then hey, don't get the Jones and don't get to playing the dozens. Don't get to talking trash if you don't like nobody talking trash to you. So that's what I'm saying. I think he looked fugazi, like a broad to me. You dig what I'm saying? Like a straight bristle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Yeah, we can't we can't be you talking all greasy like you said, and you saying everything in confidence, but as soon as somebody had that same energy with you, you can't act all sensitive. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. He looked real butthurt to me, and he talking about he felt disrespected and this, that, and the third. I'm like, bro, you sound fugazi, and like
But
I
you know
say.
what's gonna erase all that if he start winning.
But guess what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I picked Texas Southern for a reason. I think some people sleeping on Chris Dishman. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying Texas Southern gonna win the SWAC West. I'll be lying if I told you I think Texas Southern gonna win the SWAC West. I'm not saying it's impossible. I just don't see it happening. But at the end of the day, for people to anoint Tremaine Jackson to be the best coach in the SWAC without coaching a singular SWAC game, or even being the best coach in the SWAC West, I think that's blasphemous to me, considering he ain't did jack shit in the SWAC. You know what I'm saying? You got to earn stripes. You can't. People just can't give it to you. You know what I'm saying? At least like Pete Richardson, when he jumped up, like, hey, he won a SWAC championship his first year in the SWAC, so he earned something. So if Tremaine Jackson can win the SWAC championship his first year in the SWAC, then I say, all right, he done earned stripes. But as of right now, week one, he ain't earned nothing. He got to earn them stripes. You know what I'm saying? So, like, hey, if they go out there and they put a demo out on Texas Southern, then that's another story for another day. But for him to, be anointed, the best coach in the SWAC West or the best coach in the SWAC, man, I think that's foolishness for one. And second of all, for him just to blow this whole situation out of proportion. Like, bro, you just can't, make it off and fun and games. I mean, that's how to handle it, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's a head coach. Hey, I done wrote checks that my players couldn't cash. I've done
Right.
it. But guess what? I took when I talk trash, when they talk trash back to me, I was with it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm not saying nothing but him in terms of, even though it's on different levels. Like, what I'm saying about him, I was with it. When I was talking trash, the coach, I went and met the team. The first team I ever coached, I went and met him, this, that, and the third. And the guy that lived in that area, that was the previous head coach before me, he was like, oh, man, it's a championship team. But the thing he didn't realize was he was a year early. Now, if he'd have told me that the next year they ended up winning the championship. But, of course, by that point, they had transferred me to another school. But I saw that, oh, yeah, the next year, this is going to be the team to beat, because all they had was, at the time, 4 middle schools in my district. And I was coaching one of them, and they had 3 other teams. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about it was, the best players on the other 3 teams, all of them left and went to Assumption High, whereas all the best players on the team I coached was going to be there. They were 7th grade. They played as 6th graders, started as 7th graders, and all 4 of them was going to be back as 8th graders. And that gave them a real competitive advantage over the other 3 teams. That's why they won a championship the next year. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like, I was talking that cash money stuff after he told me, hey, this team is a championship team. So I'm like, hey, bro, I was talking big trash, but we wasn't walking it like that, though. We won the first game of the season, and the last game of the season, and we lost the 4 in the middle. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, it was a learning lesson. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, if you look at a coach like Pete Richardson, like, literally, there were years I felt like, oh, man, Southern going to be a team to reckon with. And I met him one day. I don't know if they still have these restaurants in Texas. They Ryan's. You know what I'm saying? But all
the Ryan's been shut down, man.
Well, yeah. They got one Ryan's, I think, left in Ruston, Louisiana. Like,
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
that must be that must be private owned or something.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna keep it a buck though, bro. The last time I went, because it's not too far from Grambling State University and Louisiana Tech. And I'm not gonna lie, the Ryans that I grew up with as a kid was amazing. That Ryans there
Yes,
was
Lord.
trash. Like it was trash.
Damn.
So essentially, Golden Corral is what Ryans used to be at that time. So
Yeah.
essentially, all those Golden Corrals you see that used to be Ryans. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? But I went to Ryans. Ryans was trash. But anyway, so you know, basically, I'm not gonna lie, bro. It's like, yeah, it ain't like you say, Ryan's. It ain't what it used to be. But at the end of the day, like in terms of the Tremaine Jackson situation, if you're gonna dish it, you got to be the taker, bro. Like you can't have no one way fight in trash talking, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like you used to always talk about, playing the dozens of Jones, and hey, bro, you got to be the dish it and take it.
Yeah. Well, despite all that, I hope the brother is successful. You know,
Well, I mean, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I want to be successful, not against Southern, though. You know what I'm saying?
of course, of course, of
Hell,
course.
in
No.
fact, in fact, I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't even be mad if he came second in the SWAC West. As long as Southern come in first. That's all I really want at the end of the day. Southern to win the SWAC West, and then Southern to win the SWAC championship, then Southern to win the Black National Championship. That's all I want for Christmas. Oh, I ain't gonna, I'm lying. I ain't gonna say that's the only thing I want for Christmas, but that's one of the things on my Christmas wish list. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you, man. But coach, man, let's cause we got a lot of football to watch, man. Let's what else you want to pop off on before we wrap everything up?
Well, I mean, I think the big thing, I kind of want, readdress, people talking about, man, coach, you overreacting to, Southern's week zero loss. And I'm not saying the season over, but I'm just saying that in terms of Terrence Graves and his entire coaching staff, and definitely Mark Frederick is an offensive coordinator. I'm not sold on him. In fact, I'm gonna be honest with you. There's a certain portion of Jaguar Nation that wants Roman Banks fired still as athletic director. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to
Hmm.
realize he turns things around in terms of basketball. Because he used to be the head basketball coach at Southern. He was the head coach of that team that uh, almost upset Gonzaga. You know what I'm saying? So I think he more of a basketball guy. So they turn things around in regards to basketball. They turn things around in regards to soccer. But in terms of just athletics across the board, you know, I think they improved, but they ain't where they should be. And not only that, but I asked this question several months back. Like, Jaguar Nation, would you rather win a Black National Championship in football, or would you rather win a Commissioner's Cup in terms of being the best SWAC school in all sports? And me, I say in a perfect world, you would prefer to win both. However, if I had to pick between the two, I would rather win the Black National Championship in football. And I'm not gonna lie, based on what transpired in week zero, clearly a lot of members in Jaguar Nation feel the same way. So he got time to turn it around, but I don't have no confidence in him. Now maybe Jalen Woods and Trey Holly could bail him out, but it's sad that you got to rely on players to get you over the hump as a coach, because from a coaching standpoint, you can't have this Jimmy Johnson. I'm the CEO of an organization, and I'm gonna be hands off and let all my coaches, carry the load. I mean, when Jimmy Johnson was the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, like he literally had the best of the best coordinators and position coaches. Just go back and look at how many of those guys like Dave Wannstedt, even though they didn't go on to be successful head coaches, like in terms of coordinators and position coaches, like Jimmy Johnson had the best of the best when he was at the U and when he was the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. So you
Hmm.
got to have that kind of coaching staff to have that kind of confidence in them in terms of just letting them being able to do whatever they want to do. You know what I'm saying? Because realistically, even Fred McNair, I think he a quarterback whisperer in terms of being a quarterback coach. But Fred McNair really, he, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think, you know, some of them years, Mark Frederick might have been his offensive coordinator too. So, like, they like vanilla bland spread up type offenses. Whereas me, like the high school I went to, you know, Brad Hill, who ended up going to Grambling State, he was our start feature back, and then once he graduated, then Brandon Jacobs, who ended up playing for the Giants, he ended up being a feature back. Like all we wanted to do was line up in the eye and pound you, but at the end of a half, we had a spread offense, a 2-minute offense, where we had a certain package where you would throw some screens and some draws and some shovel passes, and a variety of different things. Whereas they don't have none of these things in their playbook for in regards to the spread offense. So I think that's the biggest thing to me outside of the Tremaine Jackson situation. I think the Tremaine Jackson situation is the biggest thing in the SWAC right now, as far as I'm concerned. But I think, in my opinion, I think since Southern played week 0, it's kind of been talked about a lot. I've been seeing it all across like these HBCU streets. You know what I'm saying? Whether we talking about C Wells and Swag Talk or Doc Holliday, HBCU Overdrive, She Loves D, Wild Wayne, PV versus everybody. Like everybody in the HBCU content creation space that we in, like they talking about it. It's been a big story. So, Coach Graves and staff, they need to tighten up, you did.
Yeah, I agree, man. I definitely agree. But and also I left myself off the hook. Let me give you my picks who I'm gonna think gonna win. So I unfortunately I know you poking the bear, but I gotta be. I think the Tigers still win against Hampton. I got FAMU barely beating Howard. Um, I got, of course, the Razorbacks. Arkansas is gonna beat the brakes off of A&M. I got you guys barely beating the Delphos, Mississippi Valley. Of course, um, Arkansas Pine Bluff is going to get the brakes beat off of them by Texas Tech. Uh, I got Prairie View barely beating Texas Southern.
Ooh, all right.
And I got Grambling beating the brakes off of Lincoln.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And those are my picks. So we going to
Yeah.
see. We going to
Yeah.
definitely see.
You got a lot of chalk on your board, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. I definitely do, man. But hey, Norfolk State made it to the game. It's 7-13.
All right. Hopefully they can come back, not just make it a game, but win the game.
And Delaware State is, I think they just scored, but it was I think it was 27-10. Now it's 27-17 now. So it's in the fourth quarter. I don't think they're gonna come back and win, but uh Deshaun Jackson got a lot to build off of. So a lot of positives and a lot of negatives, but they definitely can compete in the MEAC from what I'm
Yeah.
seeing.
And then of course you got Will Wallace, one of Jackson State fans. He said North Carolina Central just scored again. Oh yeah, see, that's why I pick Jackson State to lose. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
But let everybody know where they can meet you and see you, Coach.
Man, you can catch me at Coach 67 Sports TV on all social media platforms. However, I am primarily on YouTube at Coach 67 Sports TV. I primarily talk about HBCU football, but I gotta address the whole situation with Javonta Tank Davis. I'm gonna do a video in regards to that. And in addition to that, I'm gonna address Jaguar Nation, and then not only that, but I'm gonna do a post game reaction to Southern versus Mississippi Valley. So I got a lot of content dropping. Y'all stay tuned. And for all those content creators that's trying to reach out to me behind the scenes, you could email me at coach67sportstv at gmail.com. And not only that, but I'm going to put the Facebook link to my Southern University Facebook group. I'm going to put it in the chat in terms of, the comment section. So y'all check me out. Y'all have a blessed and prosperous weekend. I'll catch y'all on the rebound. Peace and blessings and salute to the awesome and amazing LDBC. Yeah, dig.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And of course, you can catch more of HBCU Fanatics on my channel, Jared 11 Green. Of course, like I said, these shows will, from now on, mainly be pre-recorded unless, schedule change and we have to do it live because of scheduling. But y'all keep checking the brother out, keep supporting us, man.
And man,
Uh,
hey, they need to understand, bro. Like this is the beginning. We just laying the foundation. We got some bigger stuff coming
yes,
down the
sir.
line. I mean, y'all just don't know we got big stuff coming down the line. But this is just the foundation. So take the ride with us, you dig?
Yes, sir. Please, and I appreciate all y'all. But this was another installment of the HBCU Fanatics. Y'all be blessed and enjoy this football.
Peace.